All right, folks, we are back with an eye in the sky view. We're on Otto and Sherrick. For some reason, I always seem to hit Otto and Sherrick whenever I'm going to cast any of these games. Uh, it's an okay map. I think it's actually probably a decent map for balance. It's just one that it's not my thing, but I'm here, and yeah, I'm all about it. So we'll make it work. And server pop's a little low to begin 222, but we were over 250. There's actually a somewhat close round of Cook's countercharge. Of course, CSA still won, but it was a little bit closer than I thought. So I thought, all right, let's see what the Union's got going here. Now, for officers, they're, CSA has Arthur, Union has Agrippa. There are other folks in here whose names I don't know, but I also noticed, lurking down below the level of officer, that we have some regulars here that are not. They're going to let others have a chance to be officers. So we'll see if that remains true throughout the round. But for right now, they're spreading out the wealth. This group, I would be surprised if this was from an officer. I don't recognize that name, but I don't know if this is early cap pressure, but I'm not sure what any of this is. But you can see that this does not surprise the CSA one bit. We have a lot of single digits down here, so I think they haven't quite got the word yet that they are to. Well, good thing you're near spawn, right? But for right now, the Union has grouped up. Concentration, I think, usually works well, and they're going to start shooting at the CSA, maybe until the CSA pull-off point, and then the Union might go in and work on the cap there. If you're not familiar with the map, well, the Union spawn right over there. This is the backfield of Burnside Bridge. Union Arty is altogether right here, not that far actually from where CSA battery is on Burnside Bridge, but I told you that for no reason. What's interesting about this map is that I'm trying to think if there's anything else like this. The CSA battery is actually divided by section, and so there's a 2-gun section up here on the hill, and those are, well, that is a parrot by looking at they look like parrots by looking at the back end of it. And then I believe it's a section of Napoleons up here. Yeah, CSA loves taking one over to here. CSA loves standing on this shack because you can pretty much just expose from like the shoulders up, which is all you need to see to shoot. And it can be challenging depending on who's already to actually hit you while you're there. And there are enough of you that you should be in formation. So you can see you kind of just glitch onto the roof. And then you can, because you can kind of climb vault now. And not that it's that new of a development. But anyways, it's a thing. Union's going to go out here. And there is, that is true, there is a bit of a defilade plus shadow. That's the call. And I guess the Union has decided they need tickets. And so they're going to push up. They're going to look for that close range stuff. CSA's got a group. That's a chunky group here. I don't think there's a whole lot of CSA back here. So I think this is a good idea for the Union, at least initially. Usually the CSA is already on that fence and ready for that. Oh, yeah.
I lied. Now I have shot all my bullets. Yes, death, death. I embrace death.
And the Union's... They've hopped the fence. They can hop it there. And now they got a flag here. They could spawn, but... Now the flag is down, but... Yeah, the CSA should be more than happy with this. This is going to be a hot ticket trade, and... My goodness. CSA is waiting to push this back, and... They may not do it. Yeah, Union with 2 flags here, a 3rd back here. They might be able to just keep spawning here. And this is going to be a hot contest. This might actually end up being a pretty short map. Yeah, right now it's about 50-50. Halfway through battle ready, but this is a very curious case here. I'm not sure what the CSA's plan is. Certainly bringing up more men would help. It's a chonky line. Is that Arthur's line? Yeah, he tends to attract a crowd in a good way. And it looks like with those two companies together, they may come in here. Yeah. And they're just going to hit him in the back. I don't know. There was a Union company down here. And I don't know whatever happened to that flag. I don't know how the Union also didn't look behind them, but... So in the end, I don't think that will be too bad for the CSA because they pulled back. That is an accurate description. But the CSA pulled back, so they weren't taking a hot shootout very long. They didn't kind of keep throwing tickets into that. And now the Union has lost, I believe, 2 flags. And that'll handicap a bit their ability to keep pressing in. Yeah, this group was so far back. Yeah, that sounded like they're already making their presence now. Yeah, and the rest of the group got themselves killed, so now they'll pretty much be tethered to the stone wall for those two companies unless they can get their flag back, and they can shoot from there, or they can do YOLO charges. Wait, they lost 3 flags? Ooh, boy. Well, I'm not surprised the group is the only one that kept their flag. He's the most experienced of the 3 of them, so... And I don't think committing to that fight would have changed it, because they got wiped so fast. And now this helps the CSA in a couple ways. First, the Union are now down in terms of the relative ticket trade. The other is the delay it buys them on the black timer. Because you have 3 companies that can't spawn people in, that means if they're in a prolonged shootout with the CSA is going to win because they can spawn people immediately into action. The Union's got to spawn them back there, and it's a run up here. It's not a huge run, but the CSA knows pretty much where you're going to be. I guess the saving grace for the Union... Oh, yeah, and then this is the other thing, is that usually, particularly in pubs, people will self-appoint themselves the Rainbow Flag Recoverers, and they'll... Well, depending on... The CSA is not really committing to camping this. I don't know. I would probably be in these bushes. Oh, okay. I lied. There is someone who's absolutely reading my mind. I don't know if his job is to camp the down flags. But to me, it's worth an investment of at least 3 guys. Right? Here, and here. And with 3 flags there, you should be able to kill a couple of Adeline guys who self-appoint from the Union side to go get those flags back. I don't know. But that means they have to wait to respawn. I think it's, I haven't set around times. I think it's about 5 minutes. But it should be a little slow here.
It's really kind of up to what the
And I think that's kind of a similar situation. Let's group over here. Maybe without flags are deciding to go in and try to pick off some out of formation already guys. I don't think it's a terrible idea. And I think the Union actually is pulling it back on tickets ever so slightly, but we're a long way from breaking at the moment, so I'm not going to sweat too much. But yeah, there's a lot of guys that are out of formation, either skirmishing or out of line. And I guess the plus side of not having your flag is you don't have to worry about losing it over here. I'm really searching for a silver lining here. Yeah. I think the other 3 Union officers would do well to probably follow Agrippa's direction. I said it was a good idea that the Union come over here and try to go for these out of formation. What I didn't expect the Union to do was to go and pretty much all of them die out of formation. And I don't know that they killed any CSA Arty guys. Hats off to the Arty officer there for the fine pistol work. But the Union made it easier with that small group in that they all spread themselves out and probably died in skirmishing and maybe even 1 or 2 out of line. And got no tickets on the back end for it. But, that's the tickets on Otto and Sherrick. I don't think the Union, I think that they would admit this is not been played well by them. But they're still basically even, and they got tons of time. They actually got the CSA to engage with plenty of time, probably 6 minutes before where they would start to be a little concerned. And so, yeah, it's, war rates, with some exceptions like Hatch's attack and other maps, it tends to be a little forgiving for the attackers if they make mistakes, which makes sense. But for the defenders, it's a little bit less forgiving, but if the attackers screw up enough, then they kind of win that way. I wonder, I don't know if that was Arthur's group before that was playing it wide. It is. And they are mobile, and it looks like now 2, and I think soon the 3rd flag should respawn. All right, they have yeah. Well. Yeah, when you are camping those down flags, try to do it in a way that you're not easily seen. All right, so I think all the Union's flags are back. We will see what they decide to do with them. And we got 3. All right, all the Union infantry officers are here. Why don't I see their artillery officer? I mean, honestly, on this map, is that the U? Nah, it's got to be the CSA. Yeah, CSA arty officer. Okay, all right. For some reason, the star just wasn't rendering in, but it's you can see the CSA arty is doing its work. All right, if they're pushing out here, I wonder if they're going to go for the push almost out of bounds. I think they can make it down here. You can see that's where you start timing out, and then you kind of scoot through that little opening, and then you can use the concealment to wrap up that side. Or maybe it was just for conference. But you would think that maybe with all those flags down, that would have been conference time. Look, I'm just looking to fill the gaps here, man. Don't ask me, I just work here. Where did the CSA place? Oh, there it is. You can see it's using the shade of the trees here to try to make it a little bit harder to identify, though. I think when people hear the sound and see the smoke, they probably know what's up. But it's got, I would think, a pretty good visual. We're almost down to the sites. I don't know if they're the ones that have been plucking away at that. Okay. Where did the other... Oh, it just stayed there. Ooh. And they're running ammo by hand, I guess, over to that gun. Well, all right. Huh. After the Union evened it up, they seem to have fallen behind. Yeah, the Union is really being hamstrung, I think, by some of their lower levels. I'd like to do a Mythbusters on whether the rumors are true that the Union attracts more lower level players. Now, as I do this, we're probably going to end up missing, important stuff. But we can see, right, Arthur's got this 50-man company. Yeah, I guess there are a lot of double digits. But there's also, like, yeah, I guess it's pretty right. There's nothing that just quickly tells you the average level. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of also seeing it over here. It does look like there are a lot of, not just double digits, but like high double digits on the CSA side. And then Union, we see a lot of single digits here. John Brown's taking the round off, but I think he led last round. I think he was one of them. Yeah, there's nothing that quickly tells us what the average level is on each side. Eyeballing it, yeah, there are a lot of low levels on both sides, but it looks like the CSA does have more players in the double digits, and then like, level 30, 40, 50, and 70 and 80. All right, so the Union's going to push in, so we got out of that just at the right time. And thing is, with having all those higher double digit players, like they just know not to Rambo. They know the little tiny efficiencies that are in the game, and it doesn't really doesn't entirely compensate for any sort of leadership disadvantage, but it's a significant boost, I think. Leadership is still paramount, but that solid core of experienced players does help. And they'll know things like, how to get the flag out, when to get the flag out, what to do if the officer's down. Probably have a better feel for how accurate the guns are. They know how to avoid going out of formation, those things. Lots of exceptions to the rules, but I think those are the rules. Here's a tactic you usually see the Union use on Otto and Sherrick. They like to come down, and just as CSA uses the shade, they use the shade because it's just harder to see you. If you can't get to better concealment or cover, the next best thing is kind of this quasi-concealment, which is shade, and it does make them hard to see. The smoke is largely what gives them away. And your officer's binos would still see them. Yeah. Well, anyways, the observation about the Union Rambos coming up is that the unfortunate solution for the Union, I think, is to just, if you want fewer people dying out of line, you got a lot of Rambos running forward, maybe bring the line up and just have them charge. But then then your approach is dictated by the least experienced people, and you probably don't want that either. I don't know what the solution is. I have played this from the Union side a few times in pubs where they'll kind of get the flags up to about, maybe right about here, maybe down in the depression down there, and then they'll just cycle charge after that. That is ambitious. That is a brave arty man. My general approach to arty is, as far away as I can get from the enemy, because the range game is where I'm good. As long as I have sight lines or I can get directed to it, range is kind of my shelter from infantry. But yeah. All right, the Union is happy to continue this, but that was a little off from the CSA section up the hill. I don't know if the CSA is losing, or the Union is losing that shootout, or if Rambos and other things are just causing them to lose tickets. It's the Artie situation. All right, we're up over 250, so I'm good with that. So 9 in Artie versus 7, so nothing big there, even on other pub. So yeah, it's not a tale of Artie siphoning off soldiers from the line or anything like that. And the Union seems to generally be, clumped up in a good way, working with each other. All right, we have DJT's group here. I don't know if they're going up as bait, as sacrificial lambs, or if the pieces of that I'm hearing are correct, that they're just kind of doing their own thing, not in coordination with others. CSA volley, and they pull out of the smoke, but the Union's actually doing okay on taking the tickets from the CSA. That part they don't need to worry about. I think they have them at a rate that they'll probably have the CSA in taking losses probably by 17, 18 minutes, which is about on pace where you'd want to be. You wouldn't want to be behind that. And yeah, I mean, they're going to get some Out of formation arty, guys. It's embarrassing pistol whiff. But this group is just going to get swallowed up if they don't get supported. And I wonder, with the Union so far behind in tickets, it's about a half, maybe 35% of a morale stage. I wonder if they want to think about an early cap to make it bloody. I mean, if the CSA is going to play so far back. And here I think the CSA... Yeah, with what's left. I mean, all right, so this is kind of what I've seen the Union do. I think taking those flags up is a bit ambitious because you don't... That was that was amazing. It's ambitious because you don't have the weight to keep the CSA from shooting you, right? And so if you were in melee with the CSA and it was a running melee, then maybe you would do that. But generally, you still want to keep the flags back. Yeah, I think the Union... it's not showing up as a lot of out-of-formation deaths. Not yet, but... It might be. Yeah. So you'll get... Yeah, they're going to get all their flags back, and...
Listen up, sprint left with me. Let's cap this point right
now. We are on the same page. I mean... Yeah. The Union has little to lose. They've already paid a ticket price to... Wow. That looked like canister. I only say that because the way the smoke kicked up.
And we will shoot them as they come back down to this cap zone. We'll get 3 tickets out of them. Thank you for not moving your lineup until everybody else is dead. You're very smart. Very intelligent officer. Hey, guys. If you get on the fence, you will not die as easily. If you get in the shade, you will not be silhouetted as good.
Yeah.
Silhouette will kill you. You don't want to be silhouetted, guys. Just a reminder.
Well, all right, so now we still have some... We had in officer. I think you're losing quite a few out of formation folks here at the tail end of this. I understand you wanted to draw the CSA out, but then maybe make this a little bit bloodier, because I think the CSA is going to almost instant recap. Right? The way that you really make the defenders bleed is by having a group that's ready to hammer the defenders when they try to recap. We'll go sit here with the CSA and see if they're taking a lot of casualties. They look like they should all be in formation.
So the trees are speaking Yankee.
Get that flag up, gentlemen. Get that flag up. Break your reload. Let me get that flag.
But it does stop the black timer, so I mean, if the Union was worried about that, I guess that helps. But I think at the end of this, I think it's still going to be about a half morale stage at the cost of 1 flag. So that... Yeah. Oh, you got to be kidding me, dude.
Shoot him where you see the gray smoke, boys. Just keep holding. Hold this fence. Keep shooting, gentlemen. Keep it up. Keep firing. Keep firing. Keep firing.
I mean, even when the Union get high-level folks, I guess, they still do that. But some people play this game for fun. I mean, come on. Fun? In a game? Come on. Okay, well, we were all level 1 once. Yeah, it looks like it's at least a half morale stage, but again, the Union has not been helped at all by... You know, I think hiding in the bush kind of works, right? Until you shoot, and then it's like... How do they not know? But... I don't know about that decision, to stay there after the fact. I think if the union was in final push or about to go final push, I get it. But, you know, it's, even though it's a bit of a tattered stone wall, it's still a stone wall versus a snake fence. It's like hard cover versus soft cover. But again, you know, for the CSA, you're losing people in formation, so that's okay. I mean, if you well, for the most part, you're losing people in formation, but you can trade some tickets for time, and as a defender, that's something you'll do. You know, you sit here and say, all right, well, they'll bleed some tickets off of us. We might bleed some off of them, but really we're bleeding stuff off the black timer. So if you do that in conjunction with other things, it can work, but I think that's something that the CSA is eventually going to have to lose, because I think all the Union are there shooting at, I think that's Arthur's group. Yeah, so it looks like they're going to move. I don't think the Union has anyone over on the CSA right, Union left. And so that group should be able to get healthy over there. And my guess is the CSA is saving up some tickets for when the Union decides to push the point. And they'll invest those tickets in keeping the Union off of it. But the Union's about to go breaking. Yeah, pretty soon. And we can see the CSA's got 2 companies up here, 1 rotated back, and so that means they got 2 together on the... Do they have 2 together on the left? They're not together. They're spread out, so we'll see if they have orders on how to move. But that kind of stuff is just... You are just giving your officers fewer and fewer options when you act like that. But it is clear that it happens on both sides, right? It's not just one side that has a monopoly on Ramboing, and it's completely unnecessary, right? So oh, he's got a Mississippi. It's nice, but it's completely unnecessary because whether you actually kill someone up there, you're probably going to kill them in formation, and they're probably going to kill you out of line, and so that was just 2 out-of-line deaths. And they had to run up there to do that. They probably missed their shot anyways. Yeah. Oh, whatever. What else am I going to talk about? Is the Artie still shooting? Oh. Is that what he's doing? He's looking for Artie? They are. They are up by almost 2/3 of a morale stage. And with the Union breaking, the Union doesn't have that many more tickets now to bring it back. And with a little under 17 minutes, they don't have... they're still okay in time. They actually are. Right? They just got to be worried about that relative difference. And I'm not sure with this time how they're going to get it back, but maybe just capping the CSA while the CSA is in breaking is the way to do it. That is... Alright, so the CSA does have... I think that's Arthur's group rotated way back... Yeah, way back over. So they got 1, 2... 3 companies, and then the 4th is over on the right still. Oh, no. Are they on the right, or are they in this house? Yeah. So, alright, so they're in the house. So it's pretty much 2 in the center and then 2 on the left. And they're just going to wait for the Union to make a move. Or, as I say that, they're going to run up and... Wait a minute. Wait a minute. So the CSA has a flag over here. Wow. The number of people that were in that house made me think that, and I saw a flag in that house. Yeah, there absolutely was a flag, but that flag ran out. It's there now. All right, and then you have a CSA group over here, which I guess is just skirming down the artillery. And maybe...
Hey, one of their cannons is about to fire. Spread it out.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of happened already. Well, you knocked the flag bearer down, but... Oh, the CSA is feeling brave. This is how you throw, potentially, if you're the CSA. Yeah, you lose a flag, and I think you lost way more tickets than you needed. And then you can lose some more out of formation on the back end. Oh, no, he's not watching. All right. You know, yeah, that might be the Union's way back in, but they probably don't want to hit final push and lose a ton of time. If that's true, that was a better adjustment. 3 or 4 went down. How many get up? 3. 3 get up. Okay. All right. Though I can understand my views rightfully not being popular, and it doesn't really matter. I've always thought this left side push was the more advantageous one for the Union. Right? They can do it with artillery support if they want behind it. They can certainly anchor in that house there as much as you saw the CSA come up to it. It's the limit of what the CSA can do. The Union can occupy it, and they can skirm down the CSA if the CSA pull up in numbers. And they have concealment through here. They have the rocks here. And you know, this is it. Like, this is the gap you have to go through. It's, what, maybe a 50-yard gap. You can also sit back here. You can annoy that section of guns. It's hard for CSA already to get to you without friendly firing. And then you can quickly melee into the CSA and drive those tickets down. This is just so much bigger. But, you know, I have not played this game nearly as much as others. And, you know, those are the reps and who have tried these things can tell you why it doesn't work. I just know when I'm playing this as CSA, if the Union's doing what it's doing now, I think we have a chance. But if they were doing what I was suggesting and it was just a constant melee, I don't know how we would win that. Yeah, you should have went into the group on your left because these guys are ready to shoot you. At least if you're in a melee with them, that would slow things down. They wouldn't be shooting into their friendlies. So... Alright. So the Union might actually pull this out. The CSA has to get everybody on point right now. Okay, and maybe they're capping it back. But it looked like the Union was trying to time it to cap the second the CSA goes breaking, because the Union doesn't want to stay in this fight for very long. Because they're probably going to get pushed out. And of course, the CSA is kind of showing the strength of this position. Yeah, you do kind of give your flank or an enfilade to Union guns. It's the risk you take, but it allows you to look down the point, and point is pretty much in and around this tree. But yeah, CSA probably can just afford to stand on the point for the rest of the game. Union's about to go final push, and yeah, it was very nicely angled. You saw with the I think I don't know if it was Arthur's group that was back here, and you know, if the Union charge in, they're going to shoot, and it allows friendlies time to come in and charge. And if they get ignored, then they just countercharge into the Union and wipe them up from behind. Union's up here. It looks like they're going to send in. This will be the charge that puts them into final push. They've got to keep their flags up. Yeah, the CSA really needs to protect their flags here, because it's just going to be, I think, about 2 minutes and 15 seconds. That's exactly what I said. And they just can't get wiped. But the CSA is not... I don't think they're going to go last stand here. Not in 2 minutes and 15 seconds. I don't think. But the Union strat, or... It's not a strat, but it's a tactic. They're just going to keep spawning people, one person every, what, like 1.25 seconds or something. And they're just going to keep charging in. It doesn't work if the CSA embeds themselves like this, because as long as they have enough people there, they can just reload and shoot them faster. Yeah, you need the officers to come in. You need your arty to come in and flatten a bunch of the CSA to allow your guys to get up into melee. But the Union, when they come in, they're probably got time to get Bayos on and go. Yeah. CSA just needs to get everyone here. And this should be an easy hold. And if we're missing anything on the right, I don't see anything. But see, like, the gap between the edge of that woods and that fence is probably as large as the gap that I was talking about earlier. I don't know. It just feels like it's so much further. And you can just see what happens. Right? The CSA can line up and just shoot anything that comes through that gap. Such a long front. With 20 seconds, you got to bring the flags in at this point. There's no point in keeping him back. I mean, it's not going to make the difference, but CSA could just take a lap and just countercharge. And it sounds exactly like what I was thinking there. All right, that's the sounds of this one coming to an end. CSA makes it to the wall. Well played by the CSA, and I don't know. I think the Union was maybe 1 or 2 maneuvers away from pulling that. I don't know. I'd like to see a group at least try the Union left side, CSA right side push. Maybe not plan it that way. Maybe not like tell the CSA like, oh yeah, we're just gonna try this out and see how it goes. But actually, like, try it in a setting, just see if it works. I don't know, I just feel as the CSA, it's hard to shoot that down, and then it becomes a lot of 50-50 casualties and chaos, which, because defenders have fewer tickets, usually hurts them more. Yeah, you can see the out of lines early on, right? Halfway through the fight, I understand attackers take more, but more than 2x, like, that's just a lot of tickets, and that ends up costing the Union a lot of time. I think with better discipline, the Union probably could have won that, and you could say, well, that's always true of the attackers, but I think particularly in that one, it's not all gone, but that was a big difference in total casualties as well. All right, well, that was that one. I actually did enjoy it as much as I enjoy Otto and Sherrick. I hope you did too, and hope to have you back for the next one.